think I'm probably gonna get a bit emotional because
Our client Sarah almost let the cost of the program hold her back. Not because it wasn't worth it, but because somewhere deep down inside, she thought she wasn't worth it. What she discovered was the real investment wasn't in a nutrition or fitness program, but it was really investing in herself. Stay with us to the end of this video so you can see her dramatic transformation and you'll understand why she got super emotional.
my name's Sarah Vingo. I am a senior producer, associate broadcast director at Rethink, which is an ad agency in Vancouver.
Okay, so I have a bunch of questions I want to ask you. I always like to talk about what your life was prior to joining the program. Where were you at?
Prior to joining the program, I was feeling very stuck. My routine and boundaries were really off balance. My sleep was not great. My eating habits were poor. My mental health was in the meh. I felt pretty stuck physically and mentally. I wasn't loving myself. I was irritable and frantic. Things just weren't good. I was feeling very stuck physically and mentally.
Oh. How was it impacting your day-to-day life?
I wasn't confident. I wasn't loving myself. I've always been pretty active, working out, doing cardio, going to the gym, doing all those things. But I just didn't realize that at this stage in my life, those things weren't going to work. And I felt like mentally and physically, it just wasn't adding up. People are like, oh, you're so active, you're always doing stuff. But my body just never fit the part. I always felt kind of like an imposter almost because I've done a lot of marathon running and half Ironmans, but clearly like that part of my life and what worked for me wasn't working anymore. So I was feeling like, again, I said this quite a bit, but I was feeling very, very stuck.
What limiting mindsets were holding you back?
I think the investment for some reason was like the thing that I was like, oh, it's a lot of money to invest. But when I dig into that and unpack it, I just wasn't ready to go all in. I wasn't
Yeah.
ready to make the changes I needed to make. I knew I'm getting goosebumps right now. I knew that this big
Aw.
change had to happen, but I don't know if I was ready to like jump right in.
Commit,
I
like, and
used
then
the
commit.
money,
Yeah.
like the money investment as
Yeah.
a kind of that hurdle that I wasn't
Right.
ready to get over.
Having done the program now, do you think it's worth the investment?
Yeah. Oh my god, goosebumps. Like, it's not even the money thing is not even a thing. Like, when you actually break it down and take the time to look at what it's costing and then compare it to anything out there, like a personal trainer or something like that, or when you actually look at what you're investing in, the long game is like, "Oh, this is nothing." Like, it's so silly, but I think for me, that was my way of not, jumping in. It
Yeah.
was something
Yeah.
that in my head, I was like, "Oh," almost sad to say, "Oh, I'm not worth it. Like, I don't wanna spend my money or I'm not worth it."
Sabotaging yourself, right? Women do that so often. That's why there's always that voice in your head that's telling you not to do something when you
Well,
intuitively know it's good for you,
yes. Yeah.
right? So it's funny that you constantly are battling this little voice inside. What did we do to help you get on track?
The biggest thing that the 3 of you really taught me is that it's consistency versus perfection. And I think a lot of my transformation is that. From a
Yes.
mental, physical, it's like nothing's gonna be perfect. Life is not perfect. Lean into that. As long as you're doing your best and being as consistent as you possibly can, then that's where the transformation happens. Again, goosebumps. That's what you help me understand and like give myself a break on that as well. I'm A type, perfection, perfection, but you know what? Life isn't perfect, and that really made me lean into that.
I love that. That's so powerful. I feel like you did so well, especially a woman like yourself with the career that you're in. You're out a lot and there's like dinners and bars and things like that. Kudos to you. I don't even know how you did that, but I'm sure everybody would like to hear what your strategy was. How do you find that balance of eating relatively healthy, training, going out, doing all of it?
I prepped. So I was like, "How can I wrap my head around this and still be consistent and continue with this program?" And I traveled with my blender. I traveled with 12 hard-boiled eggs, and Our hotel, I like Googled where we were staying and there was a farm boy. It was in Toronto. There's a farm boy right there. Made a grocery list. The next
Yeah.
morning I got up, did my workout as planned, and went to the grocery store and got the things I needed to continue. And then for dinners out, I would look through the menu ahead of time and prepare accordingly. That's the other thing. I didn't
Yeah.
want it to be a thing for other people. I'd be like, oh, Vings is gonna have this like a different diet. I didn't want like so I just said to the server, I was like, listen, I'm on this fitness nutrition challenge, so I'm gonna eat the meat, but I just want a side salad when the rest of everything comes out. And they're like, no problem. It was like not
Yeah.
a thing.
How did you have the restriction? Because it's hard for some people to not put the gummy bears or the chips. What did you have to tell yourself in order not to
I
eat those
think it
things?
was because I was all in and
Yeah.
I had my own snacks. It's also just like playing the long game, which another part of this is that I haven't had a drink in over 100 days. And that,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
that is crazy. I might get emotional. I definitely have
Wow.
goosebumps. It's like Bianca said to me before I did it, I'm getting goosebumps. This is, and I might get emotional, this will change your life. And I was like, okay, cool it over there. But it did. It's absolutely changed my life. I clearly was not eating enough food. When I first got the nutrition plan, I'm getting goosebumps. I was literally like, what? Like, this is so much food. But when I think about before I started the program, I ate nothing until lunch because I didn't have time. I was like too busy. I had to get my email or, I didn't have time between my workout. Again, planning, making time for yourself, boundaries, that sort of thing. So all of those things kind of have helped one another to make my life better because I'll go do my workout, then I come home and I eat, and I'm already so energized because I have like front loaded all this protein and all this food. It
Do
was an
great.
aha moment for me. It's like the way you're educated about water. When I would be training for the marathon or something, or even in life, it's like you never want to feel thirsty, right? So we always drink enough water. So it was like food. I was like, wait, that's how I should be eating. I should never be hungry. I should always just be fueling myself. That was a huge thing for me. And then just eating so clean and eating to feel good.
Yeah. And you don't feel deprived. It was not a deprivation, starving you diet. I do not like the word diet because it has the word die in it, and
Oh my
nobody wants to
God.
die,
Never,
right?
yeah.
So we never restrict people, but it's just showing them what is good and what is not so good, and then allowing them to make that decision. But when you start eating real food, you feel
You
good.
feel good. Tell you
Yeah.
something crazy is that I've had a gluten and potato allergy right before COVID. I was having hives all over my body. And I went to a naturopath and we did some testing and all that blood
Yeah.
work stuff. And it showed that potatoes and gluten I was allergic to. And guess what? I'm not allergic to anymore because I believe that my body was so inflamed and it just so out of whack. So to do that full reset, my
Yeah.
whole body, like now I'm eating potato. When I was done the first phase, I was like, we're going for French fries. And I was like
I
so
love that.
excited to have French fries and not get hives all over my body. So it's pretty great.
That's so good. The inflammation is a thing,
Yes,
right? And it just compounds. You don't notice things. You don't, a lot of times people don't turn a packaging around and read the ingredients. You don't know when you're going to a fast food restaurant what's in what you're eating, right? So
so true.
the, yeah, it just adds up, right? You had French fries and you probably felt great and enjoyed
Yes, I
them.
did.
Right? There should never be guilt around having a burger, french fries, or pizza, but that can't be your every week kind of thing. It's a treat to have it. Enjoy it. Don't ever feel guilty around it. You're like this new person. Your energy's changed, everything's changed. And how has that impacted your day-to-day life?
Well, I have a couple anecdotes that I wanted to share. So I was
Yes.
talking about that shoot I went on. Shoots can be stressful. They're super fun, but there's also a side of it that can be on the stressful side. This particular job, we pulled together in 5 business days, which is insane. We flew
Wow.
22 people from across Canada to be in this commercial. And the creative director that I've worked with for 8 years. So him and I have been in the trenches together on a lot of jobs. And at the dinner after the shoot, he said to me, Things, I've never seen you like this before. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I kept joining Zoom meetings and I was like, okay, this is when Vings is gonna freak out. And, this is when like we need to be calm or what have you. Like this will be the moment where she cracks. Like it's so much. And he's like, you just stayed so even keeled and zen. He's like, I've never seen you like this before. It's like Vings 2.0. And I was like,
Huh.
wow. And I think also that this program really, as I mentioned earlier, the boundaries for me, I had lost those. And I think it really helped me. Like, even on the shoot, I would be in bed, like when we were in Toronto at 9 p.m., having my sleepy time tea. Whereas before, I might be like, oh, everyone's out. Like, I need to be with them or what have you. So it just allowed me to really hone in on I'm getting up at
Yeah,
5 in the morning to do a workout. I'll make sure everyone is good, but I need time for me. Even leading up to it, my boundaries were there and I was taking time for myself, which sometimes when you're in that stressful situation, you
sure.
kind of forget about. So that was awesome. And then the other cool story is that I've taken up tennis and I'm terrible, which is fine. It's like kind of a cool thing to be really bad at something and then you can see the progression. I've been working with the same tennis coach. I've been taking beginner lessons since January. Just after that shoot, my tennis coach took me aside and he was like, Sarah, I have been watching you. And when I first started coaching you, you were very frantic on the court and very like, and like trying to hit the ball before it would come to you. And he's like, I've seen this energy shift in you where you let the ball come to you and you're actually listening and learning and progressing. And again, I just go back to that in that same week. Two people in two separate areas of my life were kind of saying the same thing, how I've just become a little bit less frantic, a little bit more even keeled. I still get very enthusiastic and I'm still like,
Sure.
but it's just a bit more like and
Great.
paced and yeah, it was pretty cool.
Or because everything's kind of working for you right now synergistically,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Not always one thing or another. It all has to work together. And you've said this a few times, boundaries. And I think that's really hard for women. It's really hard for women to create boundaries with their kids, their husbands, their work, their everything, friends,
Mm,
right? So love that you said that because it's so true. It's like no one is going to set boundaries. No one's going to take care of you. No one,
no.
right? You are responsible for you. And if you can create those boundaries and stick to them, you're winning life for sure. I'd love to ask you a little bit about Sherry. Do you find it valuable to have an accountability coach with you? And did you have any moments where she pulled you out and helped you in any way?
I loved it. It's just nice to have someone to ask questions that might feel dumb, where you're like, oh, can I do this? Or just someone you're accountable to, or like you're having a bad day, or you feel like, oh, I didn't hit that workout as great as I should have. So I do love having that person to check in with for accountability, who's got your back, who's in the journey with you. It's pretty special.
Let's talk about, I know you were hesitant when it came to your after photos. It's like my favorite part of this whole experience when you guys submit your photos. Tell us a little bit about what you were going through in your mind when you were taking the after
I
photos.
think I'm probably going to get a bit emotional.
Oh,
Because the after photos, I was so stressed because I felt like the change wasn't as compelling as what it felt like mentally for me. So I like was stressing about it because it felt like such a huge transformation. So then that morning, like I was like made my partner, my boyfriend, like take the photos and redo them. And he was like, you're acting crazy right now. And I got emotional because I was like, they're just not as good as they should be. And then I took a moment to unpack and I would unpack the situation and I realized it was because the transformation was so huge for me that it was so much bigger than a before and after photo. It was, like, so much inside that doesn't come through and that people that you might not see or understand. So I think for me, it felt so much bigger, and then it was just a bit anticlimactic because I was like, "Oh, wait, what?" And then now when I look at them, obviously, I'm like, "Whoa, they're pretty amazing." Like, pretty compelling stuff. I think as women, we're so hard on ourselves. It was pretty silly when I look back on it.
it is. It's like scary, right? Because it's something that's not in your control. Listen, we're all the same, right? We're built to not, you know, pump ourselves and make ourselves feel good. We're always judging ourselves. We're our own worst critics. So I totally get where you were coming from, but I also knew because of how enthusiastic you were and how much effort you put in, I knew you were gonna see great results, right? So I feel like it probably was a lesson to you to just be a little bit more kind to
Yeah.
yourself.
And it
Us
was pretty cool that the transformation was it was just so huge. It changed my life. I was so stuck, and then to go through it, it's just like no brainer. It was pretty amazing.
if someone kind of was sitting on the fence about taking this program, what would you tell them?
I would say you are worth it. You only get to do this once, so why not feel as good as you can as long as you can? Commit fully and completely, and I promise you will accomplish the goals you set out for yourself. You think the biggest transformation will be your before and afters, but you'll be surprised. The mental, heart, and mind changes will be so powerful. You won't want it to end.
I love that. That's so good. Ooh, you just gave me goosebumps. I'm like, that's so good. If you enjoy watching this video and are curious about coaching, hit the link in our bio to learn more.